Simon, congratulations on the win. How does it feel?
A little bit surreal, to be quite honest, at the moment. A lot of planning's gone into it, so to actually come off, it's really, really pleasing.
And the preparation for Old Trinity, out of the second semi-final where it was sort of a comfortable win today, what did you have to do much? Did you get the players to come and look at last week at all?
No, I didn't force them to go and have a look, because generally during the week they don't look at a lot at the other games, so I tried to kind of keep it as probably as normal as possible. We definitely went out and had a look and saw it went within a point, so there was a lot of emotion in that game. I think it was even on the scoreboard and they had to check it and things like that. So, and it was a pretty tough game physically. So yeah.
Yep. And first quarter you took a while to get going. And how are you going? Sort of 20 minutes in the quarter and just barely a goal on the board.
Yeah, look, nervous, but we kind of knew that they were going to come really hard at us, because I think in the second semi we caught them on the hop. They had the win and we scored some goals against them and we hit them pretty hard. So they kind of turned the tables on us, I think, a little bit.
Do you reckon they hit you harder than them in the first quarter?
This week?
Today?
Oh, absolutely.
You reckon?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, they were knocking some guys over. I think they were a little bit shocked, to be quite honest. Because we played them 4 weeks before that out at Trinity and they had their own way. They won by 52 points or something like that. So, no, I reckon definitely. A quarter time when I went out there and had a look at the boys, even though we got those later ones, I knew they were going to get.
I would have said you opened up more aggressively on them. Maybe just the first 5 minutes of the game. And then they actually played some good footy for a fair bit of the quarter.
Yeah.
But I thought by the end of the first quarter, they lost their nerve at the ball, and I reckon that's how you were actually able to open them up in the last 7 minutes of the quarter.
Yeah, and I thought we started winning the stoppages in really close. We kind of brought it back to how we wanted to play it a bit, and then you hit the scoreboard, which was good.
Your last 6 or 7 weeks have been pretty good, bar the one loss to Trinity. Was there a turning point, something happened around the club, or did you get players back, or something clicked? Or
I wish I knew. No, look, we've been pretty healthy in terms of injuries, so that was always pleasing, but look, to me, the Trinity one came as a massive surprise. I didn't see it coming. Sometimes you can see during the week, and you can just feel things turning around at the club a little bit, and a bit of complacency in that. We went out there really confident at Trinity, and they gave us a real lesson. So, if anything, I reckon that made people get on their bikes again, and they realised that it's going to be really tough. And at the end of the day, Trinity's no great club, aren't they? I mean, they came down, but they've still got the heavy bodies like Yetzi and Rambo's very, very hard to stop, and they've got Wildsmith and things like that. So I think that gave us a slap in the face, that's for sure.
Simon, you mentioned in your speech out before that it was. Oh, and actually, this is one of your captain spoke of the hard pre-season. Everyone came out early, and it was exactly that there was a really good feeling and a universal feeling of come on, let's roll the sleeves up and do some work.
Yeah. Look, traditionally, I suppose old Brighton haven't been great at it, which is one of the probably
even in the years like when Maxie
had it going really well, but we dropped off a little bit, and it was a real battle to get players to come down. Like they'd come down, you knew they were going to come down. They weren't going to another club, but those extra months just make a massive difference at times. Like even Dan Anthony, he was there early, and he's had a really good year. Like he's a massive talent, but he actually did a full pre-season. So, and I just don't think you get as many injuries when you're fit. Yeah.
You managed to keep Yetzi out of the second semi, but you got a bit of it today. Was that a concern at any point in the box?
Yeah, massive concern. We've backed Marcel Bruin in a lot. We don't have a genuine tagger, and then we kind of think if we tag in the middle, we're one short almost, because he's so smart, he just goes to another player. And then almost you got one short in the middle, as I said. We don't have a dominant ruckman. I think it's pretty clear to see. Skews is a very good trier, and he does his best. I thought he played really well in the second semi, but he's not a dominant ruckman. I thought Gale probably got over him a little bit, and Nichols was able to go in because Healy wasn't playing centre half forward. But yeah, look, it was a concern for us. But Wildsmith was doing a lot of damage at the same time, so he kind of.
And were you happy to have? You've seen both teams had a man behind the ball constantly. Is that? It's more by you guys or more by Old Trinity, you think?
We don't have a traditional loose, I wouldn't say. Our winger, which was Hendra today, does like to play behind the footy. So it kind of looks like that at different times, but it's not an intentional thing to have someone behind there. And I thought they did really well with Butler early. Like, we didn't know where he was coming from, you know. He started deep, and then he'd be back, and then he'd be up forward again. So he worked really hard, and yeah, it's kind of hard on the hop when you know, in a finals game, things are really hot, and you're going, where did he come from? But we kind of worked that out.
Simon, how do you handle the break from second semi-final, like, you know, and straight into the grand final? How much change do you have to make your routine?
We trained pretty hard, actually. We trained on Tuesday night normally. Thursday night we did lighten off a little bit, and on Saturday we were lucky enough to be able to get Moorabbin Oval after the Stingrays trained there. And we trained for, it was nearly 2 hours, but it wasn't contact, but it was a really tough session, you know. It was like they got a lot of run in their legs, so we kind of kept it in that routine. And believe it or not, we actually and I was worried about it halfway through the third quarter, we actually trained yesterday. Look, just for half an hour, just to keep them at the clubs and they're not sitting at home worrying about the game and things like that. I don't know if it helped, but yeah.
You have a better aim for next year. You thought about next year? Are you going next year?
Yeah, I'd like to go again, definitely next year. They can't sack me now, surely. But yeah, look, we know we've got to get better in a lot of areas, you know. We're probably not tall enough. When you go and have a look at an A-grade club, they're very, very tall, you know, in terms of rucks and things like that. But they don't, you know, fall out of trees, unfortunately, because they're very, very hard to get. But we've just got to retain and then keep the people coming back from the school, because the school's been successful. Our under-19s weren't great this year, but they had all the below, you know, the minimum age ones. And 2 years ago, all of our under-19s are very good, and a lot of them gave up the year to do weight, so hopefully they come back bigger and stronger.
Was there a period this year when you thought you might have Jack Watts next year?
Imagine that. Well, someone said the other day, Dorsey, and I went, gee, that'd be nice as well. Imagine something like that.
But speaking of young talented players, the guy you mentioned to us on the phone yesterday in the morning show, Caballero, very impressive, as you suggested, beautiful kick of the ball, buys himself time and space and really pinpoints his disposals. Do you think he's capable? He's only straight out of school, that's right?
Yeah.
So he's got a mature body. Do you think he's capable of going further?
He's definitely got to build his tank.
Well, that's another thing. He didn't go in the midfield at all.
Until late. So he did in the last quarter. He started in the midfield, and I thought he gave us a real spark, you know, in the last quarter. But you've got to be really careful of him, you know, because we tried him early in there and he just blows up a bit, but he knows that, which is the best thing. He had Glanger in pre-season, he was at Sandringham and decided to leave, to our fortune.
Has he got a bit of pace? It's hard to tell if he's got pace or not. Because
No, he's got pace, yeah.
Right, but he's also got ability to create time for
He
himself.
does, and he's got really good clean below his knees, you know, which is hard to get, I think, and someone that age. He didn't miss a game, and he played in the state game for the under-19, so that's a massive effort in B grade, I reckon, against men, yeah.
So,
Tom Mettaplay was very good today. Is he had a good year, or is he just one of those players who stands up when you need to?
No, Tom's had an unbelievable year. I think I was speaking to John about it. His body shape has just changed, like, unbelievably. You know, I was down here and he was, you know, to his own admission, carrying a bit, and he used to get a lot of hammies and things like that. And he came down in pre-season, he was winning all of our time trials, he was totally different, you know, and as a result, you know, he kicked 60-something goals and he missed 2 games and they were both with an ear infection, so it's not easy, you know, soft tissues and everything, but he just works really, really hard for us. And him and Dan and Anthony work really well together, obviously.
Who were your best today?
I thought Johnny Perra was the best. Yeah, I mean, he stood up when we were really, really under the pump. You know, early, I think he had 19 or something apparently in the first half. I'm not massive on possessions, but I knew he was really standing up. He was pushing up to a lot of contests for us. I thought Marsden played well. Off half back, I thought he played very well.
been a good player for a long time.
Oh, unbelievable, yeah. You kind of get frustrated when you look, I mean, and they're happily frustrated. You're glad they're playing for you, but you wonder, you know, how far he could have gone if he had have gone somewhere else. He didn't play last year because being overseas, but he's got all the attributes, I reckon.
Jacoby contributed a lot.
Yeah, Jacoby's good. And I thought Dave Fallon in the last half, particularly 43, he was really, really good. In the last quarter, I mean, how many stoppages he got to, I'd love to know, but he got a lot of ball.
And Dico did well back on round.
He did. I was nervous early.
Yeah.
He made a few interesting decisions, but I thought in the last quarter he was really good, really good.
Along the lines of the Brian Lake interesting decisions.
Yeah. Which is probably why I'm bored.
A lot of those players you mentioned are around the 30-year-old mark.
Yeah.
And, Bruin, I would assume, is...
No, he's only 26.
Oh, is he? But
Yeah.
Dickerson, maybe?
Yeah.
Marston is probably
No, he's
a bit older.
27.
Hendra,
Yeah, and older.
John Perrott.
Yep.
Are those people still going to be able to carry your side in Premier? So who are the people who are going to do it for you next year?
So we played 38 players, and our reserves are in the finals. They did really well. You know, I've got some guys at Pasco's who played B grade 2 years ago, who played 15. One played 17 games this year. He was really unlucky to miss out. A guy, Dylan Verney, who won our reserve under 19s best and fairest and just missed out. Like really close, big body, good kick, can play a half back, wing. And as I said, we've really got to concentrate on getting the school leavers because they're coming through under Robert Shaw, really good footballers, as you saw with Cavallaro today. So you can't probably get a better coach at school level.
No, it's beautiful.
And we've got to get our under 19s to stop playing last year to join the gym back to the club, which we'd already started on. So
And that'll be enough?
no, we need to find players. But it's very hard, isn't it? You know, I mean, we've got a small network at Brighton Grammar. We've been very fortunate. The school team's been good lately. But we're aware that we've got to bring other people in, but you've got to, get the right people. I've seen that, you know, I've obviously been at one club my whole life. So you've got to get the right people in, but, you know, you've got to be able to, you know, I suppose, identify them and get them down to the club.
So when you came up last time, I think it was 2006,
Yep.
and you came up with Collegians, and straight away you played in the grand final. Is there any similarities within that team? Is this team better and better equipped to take on Premier?
I wasn't really involved. That was the year we had our first child, so it was kind of a bit of away from it. Probably that year I'd say they had more skillful players, but whether they played as a team as well, I'm probably not sure. A lot of them left, unfortunately, which left a little bit of a hole, which obviously we went down to be, and then we've fought our way back up again. So I think the nucleus we've got is guys that want to play at Old Brighton, so that's going to hold us in good stead coming forward.
Really important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Cheers, well done, mate.